I'm going to ask Shirley to come up to the microphone.
You don't make me cry. I just want to thank everyone for being here. I don't know what to say. I'm not going to do much. You need to listen to my voice, but thank you, everyone. I love you all.
Thank you, Shirley. Well, John is certainly here, and I know for a fact he would be very, very happy to see everybody here. So it's a wonderful turnout for a wonderful man. And we are going to get started today by singing together the Hymn of Promise. The words are on the tables on the second page in front of you. They are also going to be played on the screen in front of you.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, come back here.
In the bog there is a flower, in the seed an apple tree, in cocoons a hidden promise, butterflies will soon be free. In the cold and snow of winter there's a spring that waits to be unrevealed until its season, something God alone can see. There's a song in every silence, seeking word and melody. There's a dawn in every darkness, bringing hope to you and me. From the past will come the future, what it holds a mystery, unrevealed until its season, something God alone can see. In our end is our beginning, in our time infinity, in our doubt there is believing, in our life eternity, in our death a resurrection, at the last a victory, unrevealed until its season, something God alone can see.
Thank you all for that. Thank you. In just a moment, we are going to have, we're going to actually ask Mac to come up front, a friend of John and Shirley's. And Mac is kindly going to be reading for us a poem that was wrote by Shirley for John. So I will ask Mac to come on up.
There's a wonderful story here. May 16th, 2022. 30 years, and what do we get? We will have to go back to the year that we met.
The summer of 1947 was a lot of fun. Your cousin Joan asked me to go to Naples to visit her aunt and uncle, where I met Johnny, their son. What a great 2 weeks at Glenside and in town. Was this a special friendship that we had found? Then, in August of '48, Joan asked me, "Do you want to go upstate?" I was going to see Johnny again. Was this our fate? Another wonderful 2 weeks went by so fast. Was this special friendship going to last? With the time and the distance, it was not meant to be. It was over 40 years before you would hear from me. In October 1991, I sent you a card for your birthday. And lo and behold, we were married in 1992 on the 16th of May. So many changes have occurred down through the years. Happiness, fun times, and our share of tears. Although we have lost so many dear friends and family, it's sad. We have gained family and friends for which we are both very glad. We think country music is a treat, and because of it, the dance group, we did meet. Yes, we do have some very special friendships. And how about all those wonderful trips? From a cruise to Alaska, including train rides and tours. What fun! To the shores of Hawaii, basking in the sun. To Arizona, Las Vegas, Branson, and Tennessee. Who could ask for more? From western U.S., the Caribbean, and to the eastern shore. 2 special places we can't forget. Our homes on Long Island and Naples, where we met. You were hit with medical problems, having more than your share, but with doctors and nurses you couldn't have had better care. June 27, 2015, we moved to Ferris Hills, overlooking Canandaigua Lake, to our cozy 1-bedroom apartment. Adjustments we had to make. Over 100 new faces. It was hard to get to know, but we are very grateful for new friendships and new places by bus to go. For 5 years, we enjoyed a nice view, looking west from our 3rd floor, beautiful sunsets, the gardens, pasture. Who could ask for more? 2020 was a very strange COVID-19 virus year, ending with me here at Ferris Hills, and you are at Ewing CCC over there. No matter what has happened, we have our love for each other to share. Back in 1992, many months we were 400 miles away. One thing that we were and are sure of is that no matter what, our love for each other is here to stay. To my love, happy 30th anniversary.
Thank you, Mac. That's beautiful. I have some more words from Shirley, and her granddaughter Nicole is going to read those to you. Thank you, Nicole.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very honored to read this from my grandmother. When John was young, he was known as Johnny. Some people still called him Johnny. John's birthday was October 8th. My birthday, March 8th. 2 8s got together and we were married on the 16th of May. John and I wished each other a happy anniversary on the 16th every month. We said we had a lot of catching up to do. I kept all of my letters from Johnny. My first letter is on the display outside the Rayburn Hall. Recently, I noticed the dates Johnny dated and the postmark stamped. The date I wrote on the back of the letters I received were only 1 or 2 days apart, traveling 400 miles. What has happened to our postal service? Fast forward to 1991, when John was going to be coming to Riverhead and would be meeting people for the first time. I asked him how he would like to be introduced. Did he want to be called Brown or Braun? He said he would like to be called Braun. We are Braun in Riverhead and in Canandaigua, plus his cousins in Geneva and Utica, and Brown in Naples. Ever since we were married, I would write down in a shorthand notebook the dates and locations where we traveled and the dates people visited us. Then I would type each year what I had written. Some of the times when I visited John at CCC, I would read a couple of years at a time, starting with 1992. We would discuss the years, bringing back many good memories. John usually had at least 2 cats on the farm. He liked dogs, especially our pal, Lady. I loved Lady. Part German Shepherd and part Husky, who came to Naples in 1993, with me living with us until Lady had passed away in 2003. John really enjoyed taking pictures, even developed his own in the 40s, and videos. John had a big garden every year. Not only did we enjoy the fresh produce, but John enjoyed sharing the vegetables with his friends. He really enjoyed raising grapes, even though it was a lot of hard work, liked working with Mother Nature until he had to give up the vineyard because of health reasons in 2007. What good homemade wine John made down in the wine cellar every year from the juice he pressed. Even when he wasn't raising grapes every year, he still purchased juice from the Bram family's business to continue making the wine. John always took care of his machinery and tools. Always wanted the tractors and plows, etc., to be put under cover when through with them for the day. Checking on oil and with tractors, Gator, lawnmower before and after use. Did we ever enjoy our John Deere Gator rides? Not only was it useful in the vineyard, but we would take many gator rides around the farm, through the backwoods to the upper vineyards where his sister, Ruth, and brother-in-law, Paul, had a log cabin house. To neighbors, and especially across the road, a dirt road to Grimes Glen. Part of the glen was owned by the Braun family, including a small part belonging to John. Speaking of family, John's mother's maiden name was Cleveland. Her ancestors go back to some of Naples' first settlers, the Clevelands being one of them. They built the house where the Naples Museum is now. Not only did we enjoy the gator, but John enjoyed taking family and friends for rides around our property. Speaking of John's sister Ruth, she was a big help on the farm, especially during harvest time. Other times, she would help out using the small tractor to mow the lawns around the house and barns. I would mow the lawn where the tractor couldn't go with a power mower that John always washed off afterwards. very clean. John belonged to many generations. Masons for 67 years, Trinity Church for over 70 years, Finger Lakes wine and grape growers, fire department lifetime member, treasurer for 19 of them, Canandaigua Moose member for many years, where we attended many monthly dinners and dances. 12 of us called ourselves the Moose Dance Group and met many good friends. Lifetime member of the South Bristol Fish and Game Club, Naples Historical Society, and Glenn Curtis Museum are clubs and organizations that Shirley knows about. Thank you, everyone, for your attention.
We have a number of people joining us also today via Zoom, so we've now got them up on the screen. I'm now going to read some emails that have been sent by Penny, who's John's stepdaughter, but I'm sure when you hear these emails, you're going to see that Penny was a lot more than a stepdaughter. John did view Penny as his daughter and him as her father. So I would like to share some of the emails over the last several months that Penny has been sending for John and Shirley. I love that you planted the rose where you can see it. Roses have always been my favorite, except for grapes, of course. I do have about 10 grape plants that I take very good care of. The leaves are big and the little grapes are coming out. I've always had grapes wherever I live. I do love that time in my life. It really shaped who I am today. Please give John my love, and my love to you as well. This one was sent a few months after that, July 27th of this year. Your love for each other is none I've ever heard of. You playing music for John is so beautiful, and I'm sure he has heard and felt your forever love. Shaving him so he can have a clean shave is one of the most romantic gestures. I'm so sorry I didn't get to see him, but the memories I have of him are the best of my memories of my life. I truly give him credit for who I have become. My love for manicured landscape, my love for fine wines, my desire to do the best I can each and every day of my life. I can go on and on. I love him, and I love you too. Please know that you are in my heart, as you two have the kind of love that we all desire to have. I'm praying for you both. Hello, Shirley. I haven't heard from you in a few days. Please know I'm sending good thoughts and praying for you both. When you are with John, please tell him I love him. My heart of hearts, I believe he hears you. Your bond is so beautiful. I love you, and there's never a moment I'm not thinking of you, John, and the family. Thank you for telling me of John's passing. I am so sorry for your loss. Over the past few years, my conversations with him often included him telling me of his deep love for you. John was truly a father to me. In fact, much more than my biological father. He taught me the importance of hard work, how to tend to grapes, and how to hook a snowplow to a tractor. Very important. He trusted me to carry out complex tasks at a young age, which gave me great confidence that I rely on every day in my life, as a business owner and as a chiropractor. In fact, it was John who introduced me to Dr. Nida, and in turn led me to finding my life's work. Tonight, when I'm in my garden, I will drink some Oregon Pinot Noir and toast John, my mentor, my friend, my father. I will also send out a prayer for you and your family. As hard as John's obituary is to read, I am honored to be named his special daughter. I did not expect it, and frankly, I cried. Thank you for thinking of me. I can't begin to put in words into how I feel. It truly was an honor to be his daughter, and I will always think of you as my true family as well. I love you, and I'm so sorry for your loss. This time must just be so hard, so sad, so awful. I wanted to let you know I'm thinking of you, and I know your heart is broken. My heart is very sad. You and your beautiful family are always in my thoughts and prayers. You may see out the back here, just deterring from the emails, there is a pretty rose bush that came to us and unfortunately had a bit of a rough ride getting to Ferris Hills. However, Shirley has taken very good care of said rose bush, and Penny had sent that to her. The rose bush is just out planted in the yard here. When I ordered this rose bush for you, I had no idea that it would be so beautiful. Shirley got it back to being beautiful. I know that the love you put into it is why it's so beautiful, and of course, the amazing fertilizer. I do use this too, as John taught me early that there's no better way to fertilize than with fish emulsion. If you know John and he's ever given you any gardening advice, fish emulsion. I think of him multiple times a day. I have been going through all my photos, and I guess because there were no cell phones then to take instant photos, I don't have many of my albums. I was wondering if you could send me a few photos of John and all of the celebrations at Ferris. Although it's not the same, I looked at him and he's an amazing man, generous, kind, and loving. I was remembering one time that I went to a party for soccer at my coach's house in Canandaigua. As you know, it's about a 30-minute drive from Naples, and my car broke down when I was ready to leave and head back home. I called John, and he drove out to get me at around about 10 o'clock at night. He towed the car home and brought all of my friends to their respective homes on the way. He was the kindest, most generous man. I loved him, and I will always call him my father. Those are the words from Penny. Now with that, as I mentioned, we do have several people who are zooming in today. Before, actually, Greg, would you like to? All right, Greg, are you there?
I am.
Technology.
I am.
Okay,
Maybe,
Greg, if you would like to say some words.
Sure. You know, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Great. Well, I'm glad we were able to attend this celebration of John's life. It's really hard to sum up a life like John's. And by the way, I'm Greg Neidert, Doc Neidert's son. If any of you have heard of Doc, that's who he was referring to, my dad. But what Penny said is hard to top. John was a fantastic man. We've known him for over 60 years. And, you know, he gave me and my brother our first jobs back in the early 60s picking grapes on his vineyards. I'm sorry about this, that I get emotional. He was just such a fantastic man. And, you know, he, on that first day, he would say, what do you think about these grapes? And we said, we like them. He said, would you like to learn how to cut them? And he said, yeah. And he showed us, gave us some pruners, and let us go. And we picked grapes every Saturday until the late 60s. It was just a great man to work with, and he taught us so much. As Penny said, about how to care for plants and grapes and how to care for people. He was my dad's best friend. They were best friends with each other. And John was always there for my dad. And my dad was there for him. And when my dad was declining, he and Shirley helped him in every way they could. They were just so wonderful. And one of the things John said to me is, I'm so proud of the fact that he was my friend and that never any money passed between our hands. We just we just helped each other and loved each other. That's how John was. And, you know, if any of you ever knew him and went to his wine cellar, that was a special place. His friends would go there, and to me, you know, in the middle of the summer, it was so cool and welcoming, and John was always offering you a glass of wine. So welcoming, so giving. In the middle of the winter with bitter cold, you go down there and it was warm. It was just a perfect place. And John was so kind that anybody who came by, he'd stop what he was doing, greet them, and if they were inclined to do so, bring them down to the basement. And, you know, John was independent, and I think a lot of people saw that in him. And when he was at my dad's funeral, we put up my dad's credo by Dean Alphonse, which when we read it at the funeral, John said, I'd like to have that, Greg. That's me. That's who I am. Those are the beliefs that I have. And so I'd like to read that to you. I do not choose to be a common man. It is my right to be uncommon if I can. I seek opportunity, not security. I do not wish to be a kept citizen, humbled and dulled by having the state look after me. I want to take the calculated risk to dream and to build, to fail, and to succeed. I refuse to barter incentive for a dole. I prefer the challenges of life to the guaranteed existence, the thrill of fulfillment to the stale calm of utopia. I will not trade freedom for beneficence, nor my dignity for a handout. I will never cower before any master, nor bend to any threat. It is my heritage to stand erect, proud and unafraid, to think and act for myself, enjoy the benefits of my creations, and to face the world boldly and say, this I have done. All this is what it means to be an American. That was John. And with that, I'm going to thank you for letting me speak with you about John.
Thank you. I'd like to see, is there anybody, oh, Shirley shouting, thank you, Greg. Is there anybody else, I can see, Janet, Chris, anybody? Janet, would you like to say a few words? I think Janet's going to unmute herself. I can come back in just a moment for online, and I'll just ask if there's anybody in the room who would like. Okay.
I can ask unmuting, but I can't. I've done it twice now. I've got to use the chat. Yeah, I can mute him, but I can't unmute him.
Of course.
Good afternoon, everyone. I can't tell you how proud I am to be here as a proxy member of the family. My name is George Herron, and for those of you I've not had the pleasure of meeting, our family has been here in Canandaigua for some 50 years now. And one of the first gentlemen that I met was John Braun. And the membership in our common interest led us to have many, many pleasant discussions, some of which were in the cellar of the wine place. And at the time, we had a wonderful relationship talking about the pros and cons of government. And you may wonder why that happened to come up, because at the time, John called me and asked me to come down and talk with him about how his property is being properly assessed. And some of you here know that I had the privilege of serving this entire county for some 30 years as the chief property tax assessor. Not necessarily the most popular job, but one which certainly brought on a lot of common and interesting discussions. And that led to a number of different times with John and Shirley. And some of those sessions were not only enlightening to me, but very educational. John and Shirley taught me an awful lot about life and how to improve life for others, if at all possible. And I have never forgotten that. And ever since John passed, I've had a chance to talk with Shirley on several occasions, and she has certainly carried on the tradition that John brought her to when they moved back to Naples. And I can't think of any other family in this entire county that I had a greater degree of respect for over a long period of time. So what I'd like to be able to do now, if I may, is share a prayer for Shirley and the family. And I'd like to share it with all of you today. As our Savior's servants, we seek understanding and compassion for those currently confronted with an absence of life. Now, we ask your blessing for those who have experienced losing a loved one of any age or at any time, for they will be called upon frequently to share their strengths and fortitude with others. Asking that commitment from someone's family reflects an unexpected calling, while bringing their circle of friends closer together by expressing sympathy for those who continue family traditions and ties with future generations forever. Amen. I've also put together what I believe is a genuine testimonial tribute to John, who's a renowned Naples vineyardist, John Richard Braun. John R. Braun, a prominent family name of agricultural distinction, synonymous with unbiased truth, unbridled ethics, unwavering scruples, unmeasured fairness, unquestioned behavior, and undaunted patriotism above and beyond the call of civic responsibility. John Braun was a beacon for those needing direction, provided emotional stature for those seeking sound reasoning, and exercised exemplary conduct on behalf of friends and neighbors alike, while setting standards of those of lesser talent. He was active by nature and a giant for conscience-driven performance. He was a core of inner strength, a tower of wisdom, and the foundation of dedication, being richly endowed with volumes of knowledge blended with an abundance of common sense. His clear voice, vibrant presence, quick wit, and passionate perseverance in applying the golden rule were attributes desired by many, practiced by some, and achieved by few. John was a really very good person. He was good in heart, mind, body, and soul, and was good to all who knew him. We here today, among uncounted others, are extremely proud to have known him as a friend, even prouder to have him accept us as his friends. No one could ask for or receive a gift of greater magnitude. He earned unwavering respect from his circle of fellow citizens in all walks of life, all ages and all interests, and will have a treasured place in the hearts of many as he now rests peacefully with those preceding him into the warmth of heaven. As we bid farewell to John, he and his community presence have placed an indelible mark upon the names of thousands. And he will have a treasured place in the hearts of many, and will remain unforgettable to their future, and shall be eternally remembered and honored with reverence. And this is on behalf of all the friends and families at the First Congregational Church in Canandaigua. Thank you.
Is there anybody else who would like to say a few words? We'll help you.
Good afternoon. My name is George. There's a couple of us here tonight. John, I met John about the same year, 91, I guess, when he came down to Long Island. And when I first met him, I'm a farmer, got to talking, and I said, well, John, you want to jump in my pickup and I'll show you around the farm? Well, I think he was waiting for that. We jumped in and showed him around some vegetable fields, and within that hour, we became friends. Didn't know it, but we did. Now that same year, Shirley's last name was Gillespie, and her daughter Barbara, who I was dating, was Barbara Gillespie. And I'm skipping around now, but the third or fourth time when John came down, I totally made this up at that time. I said, John, did you hear the rumor down here in Riverhead, Long Island, what's going on about these Shirley and her daughter, Barbara? And he said, no, what happened? Something happened? I said, no, it's the local rumor is that both of the Gillespie girls are a little loopy here, a little crazy. I said, and he said, why? What do you mean? Why? What happened? I said, the rumor is they're both dating farmers. And he and I reminisced about that many times, and you never knew that. And one more quick story about what was related to by many is that notorious, wonderful place in Naples below the barn. Bob and I would go up there in February, sometime March, and in February, it can be pretty rough up here. It's cold on Long Island, but there's 3 feet of snow up here. And it's below zero, not above. So one afternoon, about 3 o'clock, hanging out in the house, and John said to me, he said, you know, I got to go down in the barn and check the heater in the cellar. Would I like to go with him? My first time, I said, put my coat on, let's go. So we walk over to go down to this wonderful place that was made by his grandfather. And he did have a heater down there, a little propane, kerosene blower heater for the cold nights. And it took us about 3.5 minutes to check the heater. And then he said, would you like to sample some Delaware? I said, certainly. So we did. And then after some conversation, which we conversed a lot down there about many things, we were trying to solve all the problems in the world, or at least the ones in our families. And after that, he said, well, you know, how about trying the Concord? I said, hey, my glass is empty. So we did. And then another half an hour went on. And, you know, when you talk too much down in the wine cellar, you get thirsty. So he said, you know, I got a blend over here of, you know, I said, well, let's try it. So we did. This went on for, I don't know, there's a telephone down there, a regular old telephone, and about 4:30, 5 o'clock, the phone rings. John says, oh, Shirley. So sure enough, I couldn't hear the, conversation, but I'm sure it was something like Shirley would say, is there anything wrong with the heater? And supper's ready in a half an hour, by the way, guys. And so John was right on beat. He said, well, we're just trying to decide what kind of wine we want to bring back to the house. And we did, and everything was good. And I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to see all you guys. And great guy and a great girl right there. Thank you.
Would anybody else like to share a story or have any words? Okay.
Yeah, I'm so sorry that we can't be there. Bruce and I, we would love to be there for this celebration of John's life. John was really special for us. We loved the way that he and Shirley loved each other, and that was just wonderful. It was like a fairy tale come true for Shirley, and it was really special times. We had so many times together with them, and John was so welcoming to us. He welcomed us right into his family and friends in the Finger Lakes, which we knew nothing about until we started going up there. And Shirley's mom accompanied us on a few of our visits until she just couldn't make it. She finally passed away at the age of 101, but she had many enjoyable trips up to visit, and that porch was just something special. And we met so many great people. Greg, we met your dad on any number of occasions, and he was a pleasure to spend some time with. We were up for several of the great festivals and for the harvest, and it was just really a whole new awakening for us to see how life was lived in the Finger Lakes, and we really enjoyed it. All of our family has so loved John, and we're so sorry that he's gone now. We love you all, and thanks for including us in this.
Anybody else online there? Oh, yes, please, come on.
I am a cousin from Naples.
There you are. I'm a cousin from Naples, and John was our oldest cousin, and he lived to be 90. Amazing. So we've lost a lot of cousins, but I am not much of a speaker, but I wanted to say something, and the greatest thing I can say is that Shirley rescued John from a lonely time. He had nobody in his house, and she made a home for him at the farm. It was a big house. And you know Shirley. It was wonderful when she married John. And she was in Naples, and we had cousins get-togethers, and John and Shirley would come, and we got to see them. And of course, I didn't get down to that wine cellar very much. But I brought along some of the things I had in a file. Naples grape grower uncorks possibilities of organic vineyards. So he was a pioneer. And I have a picture here of John and Shirley and some of the people here at Ferris Hills. And then I have another one that says, John Brown's solar panels produce nearly all the electricity for his home. He was a pioneer. And John Brown, the original organic farmer. And there's that one. So I know you can't see it from like far away, but I just wanted you to know that we really appreciate John and Shirley. And how many years, my goodness. I remember going to the farm as a kid, and there was a cherry tree right by the house. And we kids just loved going up in that cherry tree about the 4th of July and eating the cherries. And it was just a wonderful place. And of course the porch, we had picnics on the porch, and that was wonderful too. So I won't keep talking. So thank you.
So John with his organic grapes, I am not surprised to hear that. It's wonderful. I actually knew John before Ferris Hills. I've known him for 11 years now. Being now living in Naples myself, my prior role in working in Naples, I actually worked closely with John and Shirley for a number of years in Naples before coming here. So I was very, very lucky to be brought back into their lives, being at Ferris Hills, because as you all know, John was a remarkable person to know. 11 years ago when I first met him, he just straight away, he embraced me and my family, and he had many, many stories of the house that I now live in, the Harrington's house that some of you from Naples may know about. And they shared many stories, and lo and behold, they all involved wine. I don't know how that could have been. But for, just so you all know, all the grapes that you see on around here are all from Naples. They were all brought up from Naples this morning, so I hope you all enjoy munching on those and think of John and the grapes and how much they meant to him and how much you all meant to him. So what I would like to do, unless there's anybody else who would like to say a few more words, I'm going to see if we can do one last song, if that's okay. Obviously everything's going to fail me now on this technology. Give me a second. You're gonna start with me? Oh, please do. I was just gonna say, I was just gonna start with the cake so I could small.
No, I'll stall for you.
Teamwork.
How about that? Bless your heart. This is wonderful, and thank you. I'm Donna Gridley, and my husband Louis Gridley. We're fellow grape growers, and had the fortune to meet John. And at the time I met John, I happened to be working at a dentist office in Penn Yan. And this gentleman drove in, and I was the receptionist, and it was feedback, and I was trying to get away from it. Saw his license plate, and it said grapes on it. And Louis, I had just married into grapes, so I was quite interested. And so John introduced himself, and right from the get-go, we had wonderful conversations about grapes. And John and Shirley have always been very giving. Invited us several times to the farm. Yes, Louis and I spent time in the wine cellar. I can probably make my own wine now because of John Braun, and I was fortunate enough to share a couple bottles with him before he got over to Ewing. So it's something that, you know, we shared a lot. But we did make several visits to Long Island to meet the family when you were, and made a trip to get fish emulsion one year. We went to Gloucester, Mass, and we got fish emulsion and came back with a truckload. And John showed us how to, you know, we were planting grapes that year. We soaked the roots in the emulsion and planted them, and they were the best growing grapes that anybody had ever planted over on the bluff. So we thank John for his friendship and Shirley, and miss him every day. Are you good now? Do I need to stall more?
No, it's good. It'll take a moment, but we're good. Thank you.
Okay, what I'm going to do is we do have a slight technical detail here. So if everybody would like to, we've got plenty of wine out back. If everybody would like to refresh their glasses, and then we are going to cut a cake in celebration for John, because today would have been John's 91st birthday, October 8th. So what I'm going to do is ask you all to fill your glasses, and then we're going to come back, we're going to play a song, and we've got some photos to show. So please enjoy, and we will be with you back in a moment.
Yes, I'm sorry I got emotional there, but.
glad
Get me out of the way.
I'm still directing this track.
She's got it right here.
Claire?
I just go get a little.
Well, hey, you're always looking out for me. And me and everybody.
You want cake? What? You didn't want it.
How are you today?
You don't dare move, do you?
No,